So another week has begun and we've had a Monday Night Raw episode, which I thought was quite fun. Everybody went nuts about Jinder Mahal versus Seth Rollins. It was 12 minutes of just enjoyment, I suppose. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors. Veer was out there coming all over the place as he is wont to do. And obviously we had teases with Money in the Bank and Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. And look, Seth Rollins is still your World Heavyweight Champion, but there may be bigger news at play. That's because when he went for some version of a lion salt, I believe it was, he kind of landed awkwardly on his knee. And when I really noticed it is when he hit the pedigree for the 1-2 ooh. You could just tell that, oh, wait a minute, he doesn't seem to be as mobile as he was a minute ago. Now, it's so hard when it comes to someone like Seth Rollins because he is a really good professional wrestler. In my humble opinion, sometimes he's even underrated. I think people forget how consistent that he is. But do have reports out there that are kind of hinting that he was limping backstage. He has to go get an MRI on either Tuesday or Wednesday. So let's just err on the side of caution here and say, Seth Rollins, I hope you're all right. I hope you're okay. And more importantly, I hope you can get to WrestleMania. Now, the most important part of all of this is health and happiness, and it's the human side of professional wrestling. You can roll your eyes and be like, oh, Simon, I'm so sick of you talking about this. I get it. I would hate me as well. But that all comes into mental health and stuff we talked about 1,000 times before. But on the less important side, Seth Rollins is so important to WrestleMania 40. There is no way he can get injured right now. Now, obviously, it starts off with his apparent match against CM Punk. I mean, WWE has leaned so heavily into that, I can't believe we're not going to do it. But there's also a caveat to that, because, of course, CM Punk has always wanted a main event at WrestleMania, but so has Seth Rollins. I mean, he's talked about it in interview after interview. So that is kind of tick box number one. I need to see that match, I need to see all the promos, and I need these two to main event WrestleMania so they can kind of tie that up in their brains. But if all of a sudden Seth Rollins does have to go away, it probably means you have to change the World Heavyweight Championship potentially, depending on how long the injury is going to be. Does that affect the Royal Rumble? What the hell does CM Punk then do? All of a sudden I start getting worried because I'm like, oh my gosh, apparently it is going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Are we going to go Cody to the Raw title instead? And maybe he takes on CM Punk. But I don't think we should do that. It's too early to do that. And we should take our time. And you realize that's how pivotal Seth Rollins has been to the WWE for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years, especially now. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons they've given him the title for so long. So we're like, okay, we need kind of the antithesis to Roman here. And look, more power to Roman with his schedule. If he's allowed to take time off, who wouldn't want that deal? But it did mean when we introduced a brand new top tier belt, okay, that person has to be a workhorse, and we picked Seth Rollins. I really don't even know what you would do if he does have to miss WrestleMania. I mean, you could argue that maybe you could keep the championship on him, but I don't think WWE would do that. And in fact, I think that would be a terrible idea, because on SmackDown, you're not going to have a champion, and on Raw, you're not going to have a champion. I know the whole Roman debate is there, and we'll probably do it on a video soon, but at the moment, that is the lay of the land, that is the balance, and you can't have it the same on both Raw and SmackDown. It would be absolutely ridiculous. But I suppose the good thing, good is not the right word, in inverted commas, is that WWE has been so desperate to promote the Royal Rumble, and they've done a terrific job, by the way. Don't know why I used the word desperate. That's not the right word at all. But, you know, we have seen interactions between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, and Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, and everybody's kind of like, well, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. Well, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. And seriously, if Punk won the Rumble, I get it. If Cody won the Rumble, I get it. Drew wins the Rumble, I get it. Randy Orton popped up and win it, I get it. If Sami Zayn returned and win, I would get it. They have so many stars right now that it is kind of easy to pivot should you need to pivot. But once again, because they have been telling such good narratives, I don't want no pivot, man. I don't want no pivot at all. It's why everyone's raising an eyebrow, irony, towards The Rock, because everyone was quite happy in the direction we were going in. And that's why Seth, you have to be healthy and you have to get this done, because a lot of the whole event kind of does ride on his shoulders, as it should do, again, because he is a soldier when it comes to WWE. But I just know, I visualize this in my brain because I am a massive dork. When we've had all these amazing promos, which would absolutely be the way between Punk and Rollins. Punk is one of the best talkers ever, and Seth, when he gets to speak from the heart, man, he's right up there, which he would do during this. I just know that when they do face off on that night one of WrestleMania, and I totally get, I'm speculating here, we don't know for sure, I think there would be such a buzz in the audience that all this nonsense that some people have said in the past, where they go, oh, if you main event night one of WrestleMania, it's not the real main event. Oh, go away. Flub you. You're telling me the first time you took a bump, if you were training to be a wrestler, and some wrestling fairy popped up and went, oh, do you want to main event night one of WrestleMania? You go, no fairy, I want to main event night two. Sometimes you just got to stop saying things. But it really did make me think, and it really did make me realize how kind of pre-planned this WrestleMania has been. But again, just to really run it into the ground, his overall well-being is far more important than what I want to see as a fan. And I suppose another positive is that WrestleMania is still a good few months away. So if it is only a somewhat minor injury, I mean, no injuries are good, it gives him time to heal up. He doesn't have to have a match at the Rumble. He doesn't have to have a match in that Elimination Chamber card in Australia. I mean, that would suck, and it would suck absolutely if you're out there in Oz because you want to see him, but sometimes needs must. Although actually, Bronson Reed kind of hinted at that during Raw. He was like, oh, good day, mate. I'm going to take on a championship person, and they don't even know. And I have to presume that would be Seth Rollins because, yeah, Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, again, let's just assume that Seth is going to be okay. That's a nice match. It kind of does tie into this thing we have been talking about as I interrupt myself. It goes to show, if we're doing Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, no disrespect to Bronson Reed, who I think is fantastic, but it's just the way that WWE has used him. There is no way that we're doing The Rock versus Roman Reigns, because that whole card would be completely out of kilter. But anyway, he doesn't have to do that, and then we get to WrestleMania, and hopefully he's good to go. But I did think it was the big talking point coming out of the other side of Raw, so I thought, well, let's just throw some positive vibes into the abyss and try and manifest it so that he is going to be okay. I mean, obviously, the bigger news would have been Jinder winning, but as ever, WWE went and hindered him. It did mean that I thought this episode of Raw was really well bookended, though, because you ended that, I think it was a fun, stupid main event, very WWE. It is WWE, so it is to be expected. And of course, our big kickoff was Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, as they let into reality too, because their journeys have been very similar. They both left WWE, and they came back twice as bigger stars. Drew went on to win a Royal Rumble and a couple of world titles, and obviously Cody's won a Rumble, and I totally believe he'll eventually win a world championship. Maybe in 2072, we'll have to wait and see. But the way kind of McIntyre has been acting recently, this is one of the best heel turns we've done in ages. Every single thing he says, you can kind of understand the justification and the truth is it. He's just a bit of a whiner. He's just a bit of a dickhead, but also a dickhead who is super duper intimidating. Now, of course, he hates Damian Priest, so he made sure he took him out in the main event. I do believe we're doing Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre next week, and given that is so close to the Rumble, as I look at my calendar over there, that has to be a massive story point, which also then nicely segues into Damian Priest's relationship with R-Truth, which actually is the best thing that wrestling has done maybe ever. I know it's silly and I know it's goofy stuff, and I said this on Ups and Downs for All, which you can check out on the card that's just popped up right there. You can't just give this kind of stuff to any performer and expect for it to be funny, right? That's what some people think, oh, it's just dumb, ridiculous wrestling stuff. I mean, it is that, goofy wrestling for life, but the reason I think they do it, and the reason I think it translates so well, is because R-Truth is just brilliant at it. And I see so many people go, oh man, he should be a serious guy now. No, he shouldn't. If you make R-Truth a serious pro wrestler, he's going to get lost in the shuffle. Not in a bad way, but just because the nature of the beast, WWE are focused on a very set cast of characters when it comes to that main event scene, and it's worked. They've told great stories. Now, I'm not saying that due to tenure or due to legendary status or just due to the fact that he is amazing, you can't give R-Truth a little bit of a run at that level. You could even give him a world title reign, and I think he would earn that, and I'd absolutely love it. But right now, he stands out in the best possible way, and he's essentially doing for the Judgment Day what Sami Zayn did for the Bloodline. Because at the end of 2023, maybe correctly, maybe not, you'll have to make up your own mind, subscribe, leave a comment, and all of that, kind of felt like there was this idea that maybe the Day of Judgment has run its course, and we can just break them up in 2024. Like, Rhea's a bigger star, and Damien's a bigger star, Finn Balor just the most funny guy ever, obviously Dominic has come of age, and JD McDonald's done really, really well too. There's not really much more we can do with this, so let's just kind of lose the tag team championships, and like I say, do whatever we want to do. But now you've added in your Sami Zayn, which is R-Truth, it's funny again, and it may actually be the reason that Damian Priest gets his ass kicked, because of course now he loves R-Truth, he loves the fact he was selling bootleg merchandise on Raw, whereas Rhea Ripley is getting madder and madder. She's annoyed at the women's division. She fell out with Becky Lynch, and that was a brilliant segment. I hope they do that at WrestleMania. So if it becomes the reason he does leave, Damian Priest that is, because of R-Truth, and maybe they have some kind of buddy-buddy friendship, that is a great way to turn Damian Priest face, because you will have sympathy for him, because he's the big, tough, terrifying guy. So even before he gave the South of Heaven, whatever it's called, chokeslam to R-Truth in that match they did do on Raw, the fact he was just a little bit hesitant about it, that is a wonderful seed to plant where you're like, okay, well, I understand you did kick his ass, but wasn't it nice you thought about it? Yes, I was. You know what, Damian Priest, I like you twice as much. I think that makes sense as well. Maybe Drew McIntyre could be the new quote-unquote leader of the Judgment Day if you really wanted to sort of give him a darker edge, I suppose. Not Adam Copeland. He's gone to AEW. And maybe that's the reason that you can give McIntyre a championship win down the line. I don't think it would be pre-Mania. I think it'd be post-Mania. But you can just do classic House of Torture, New Japan stuff, and Judgment Day just goes wild, and they take somebody out. But again, I thought that was a really, really fun thing, and I think we will look back on hindsight and realize the storytelling is a lot better. And to be completely honest with you, the only thing on Raw that's a bit like, it's not really receiving the same amount of love as anything else is the women's tag division. Now, I thought Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven was fine. It was okay. I don't think there's much more to say about it than that. But when we got to Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark taking on Tegan Nox and Natalya, again, I still haven't looked this up, and I should have done because I mentioned this on Ups and Downs. I kind of feel like I've seen this match 1,000 times. So even if I haven't, why do I feel that way? And it's because it still feels like we're just sort of, I don't know, churning our gears. That's not saying, whatever the words are. Because if you look at every other champion on Raw, especially Gunther came back yesterday, he was awesome as well. But if you look at every single one of them, they're all involved in storylines. They all have major players that kind of go left, right, up and down. Whereas when it comes to the women's tag team division, I understand that Kaden Carter and Katana Chance recently won the titles and they were watching from backstage, but we haven't really told anyone who they are apart from that funny backstage party thing they did. And I would much prefer it if what we're doing for the Intercontinental title, we do for the Women's Tag Team division. Same with the World Championship, blah, blah. Like, ironically, we should just literally do what we're doing with the Women's World Championships, because the Becky, Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax stuff I'm really enjoying. And over on SmackDown, I think the Bayley falling out with Damage Control stuff is going to be awesome when they finally pull the trigger. So we just need to dedicate more time to it, because it wasn't like it was a terrible match. It's not the greatest thing you've ever seen. But when Shayna Baszler applies the Kirifuda clutch and gets the win, you're like, that doesn't really live up to the rest of the show. Not in terms of their in-ring work, but in terms of the gravitas and the importance we're putting on these matches. And that comes down to management. And I also just think when they see those Women's Tag Team Championships, and we've talked about this 1,000 times before, because it has had such a ropey ride, going back to everything with Mercedes Moné / Sasha Banks and Naomi / Trinity, damn wrestlers, stupid names. I don't think we ever recovered from that. And that's because I don't think we ever tried to recover from that. So given we have got brand new champions now, I'd like to hit reset there. But I just find Raw an incredibly easy show to watch. Like, the 3-hour length is always going to be a little bit of an issue. So if all of a sudden from nowhere, like, the rights are up soon, and while I doubt they go back to 2 hours because they make more money off that third hour, let's say it went to Amazon, and Amazon like, we're happy with a 120-minute show. If you then had to sort of edit even harder because you have lost 60 minutes, I think Raw would be probably up there with some of the best television you've ever seen in professional wrestling. Now, people are going to get mad at that because they're going to compare it to the Attitude Era. I'm not saying it's going to hit those levels, but I am saying that if you go back and watch the Attitude Era now, sometimes you have to watch kind of not even kind of, full-on offensive stuff, be it with the women or how they treat certain races of people, but also every now and then you will see Kai and Tai trying to chop off Takamisha Nuka's penis. Now, I didn't make that up. That's what happened. Sometimes you'll see Katie Vick. I mean, that was past the Attitude Era, but I think sometimes when wrestling was super duper hot, the main event stuff was absolutely fantastic, and there were other things when you'd raise your eyebrow. Like, Val Venus is problematic these days, because even if he was involved in a good angle, sorry, it was Val Venus's penis they were trying to chop off, you'll have to forgive me, but even if Val Venus was involved in a good angle, if somebody sits down to watch it with me, I have to go, they're a porn star, and surprise, surprise, they ain't interested anymore. Whereas if you take someone like Finn Balor from the new school of wrestling, I can just say, he's a really good Irish wrestler, and I can leave it there. I haven't got to talk about stupid gimmicks. Not that I mind stupid gimmicks. I obviously love stupid gimmicks, but hopefully you take my point. I just think that Raw and SmackDown and WWE as a whole has got very good at sort of aiming their content at the next pay-per-view, which is around the corner, or premium live event, please do forgive me, which is the Raw Rumble. And that match on paper, the whole card on paper, is going to be awesome, right? There's going to be damn good matches, including that four-way with Roman Reigns. And while I don't think Roman is going to lose his championship, SmackDown 2 has done a very nice job in making you think, well, Roman Reigns can beat any one man, but can he beat three? And the answer is yes, he can. Those three are going to fall out, and that's how we're going to get to whatever we need to get to, because I love Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. It's not the right time for them to be the champion, and we'll have to get through to WrestleMania and see what happens. Mostly, I do hope that Seth Rollins is okay, but yes, yet more fantastic television. I don't think anything else is going on. I think that was pretty much the long and the short of it. I mean, we still wait for the debut of Mercedes Moné. Maybe she turns up on Wednesday, maybe she doesn't. My advice to you would just be chill out, just see what happens. It doesn't matter. Even if she turns up in, I don't know, Warrior Wrestling, that's totally cool, because wrestlers are human beings and they're making decisions that they are going to enjoy, and it's going to make their lives better. So I can't get mad at that. Actually, there is like one last thing I'm going to say, and maybe I'll do a whole video about this. Please stop body shaming wrestlers, right? You may not like somebody because they don't look a certain way. Okay, you want more jacked people in wrestling, that's fine. But please don't all of a sudden point your finger at them and say horrible things, because that makes you a jackass. Right, on that note, please do spam the comments, subscribe, click the video notification bell, and all of that kind of stuff. Again, grillermind.com/Simon's Good Simon, get 10% off. These are fitness things that I use, and if you're in your January, oh my gosh, it's time to get in shape, they will help you just a little bit. Also, it's patreon.com/Simon316, Instagram and Twitter, Simon316, Simon J. Miller on TikTok, Simon Miller on Cameo, and I have pro wrestling tees merchandise and Samson Athletics merchandise, new t-shirts going up all of the time. Most of all, enjoy the road to WrestleMania. It comes but once a year, and if you're like me, you probably only have what, like 50 of these left before we're dead? I should not have said it. Goodbye.